Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. My name is Eugene Daniel. I'm joined by producer Sarah Calloway and meteorologist Craig Moeller here in our 13 News Now streaming studio in Hampton Roads, Virginia. We're going to start with our forecast because... No way.
Never
it's
happens.
almost like we do this often. And, you know, Craig, here's the thing. We have been talking about winter weather, cold, winter weather, cold, snow, ice, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And back at it again, potentially.
Well,
No,
you're fine. We do have the potential for snow, Eugene. You're 100% right there. But, okay, we are not driving any kind of a hype train on this. We want to come out and we want to let you know right now, the way things are looking now, this does not look like a major snow event. We do have a winter weather advisory, and this is never about driving a hype train. This is always about just informing and letting the audience, our viewers and people across the region know, hey, this is something we may have to deal with later tonight. And we do have a weather impact alert. So if you guys want to get into it, Sarah, we can take the graphic. For this evening through tonight, we have this weather impact alert. That would be the 7-day forecast. Let's go ahead and take a look at...
Sorry, I'm on the wrong
She
channel.
was so excited to get to the sunny conditions this weekend, she just decided to take a different source. But what I will tell you is before we get to the sunshine, it's going to be cold this weekend, by the way. Did you see that? Mid-30s. So, yeah, she's still looking forward to the weekend. I don't blame you, Sarah. All right, before we get to the weekend, though, we do have to deal with this potential for some snow tonight. So there is a weather impact alert as we're going to see some rain changing over to mix and then eventually some snow overnight tonight. Should be very light. We'll show you amounts and kind of what the models are projecting and kind of where our confidence is in all of this. There is a concern that we could have some slick roads after dark. Now, yesterday, Eugene, how warm was it?
It was in the 40s.
48 specifically at Norfolk. So we were finally in the 40s after I think it was 9 days.
And it felt good. Honestly, it felt
Yeah.
like a summer or a spring day. I'm not going to go as far as summer.
No,
it felt
but
really
it did.
good.
Yeah, I mean, just getting out of the biting, stinging cold, it felt great. My point in bringing up the 40s yesterday and the fact that we're going to be close to 40 again today is that the ground is warmer. That's important to note. Even as things do transition colder again this evening, what falls initially will likely melt on contact as the ground's a little bit warmer. Now, you take a look at the winter storm alerts. There is a winter weather advisory, and look at how much of central North Carolina there is under the advisory. I spoke with one of the forecasters out at the National Weather Service in Wakefield, said, okay, you guys seeing something that I am missing here? Because, again, the model's really indicating lighter amounts of snow. That forecaster said to me, nope, you're seeing exactly the same things they are, and they are also feeling like these amounts are going to be lighter and lighter than what was looking like yesterday. So that's good news for us. They said the reason they went with the winter weather advisory is largely tied to the fact that down in Raleigh and Durham, they put this out, and they like to try to keep some continuity with the system coming through. Raleigh was a little more concerned with the potential for some ice down that way. Now, the chances for ice are not great, but obviously forecasters out of Raleigh, Durham with the National Weather Service were watching that. So for our area, we're looking at mix, maybe a little bit of sleet out towards I-95 around Emporia, Roanoke Rapids, maybe into Southampton. I won't rule that out. Potentially Northampton, North Carolina, those areas could see a little bit of sleet in the mix, but mainly we're going to see a rain kind of transitioning to snow. Now, the winter weather advisory that's in place does include Poquoson, Hampton, and Newport News. Then the south side, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Isle of Wight, Southampton, Franklin, and out through Emporia. You see that. Then into North Carolina, Gates, Bertie, Hertford, and Northampton. Eugene, did you have a question?
I have a statement.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I have a statement. And I appreciate you, making sure the the way we speak about this is appropriate for the moment, but I am tired of any even inkling of an opportunity for snow. I just felt I needed to get that out there.
So
but here
listen,
we are again.
There's a lot of people that are suffering weather fatigue.
Yeah.
I mean, people are tired of hearing about it.
People.
And honestly, it's like, the staff here, we're going to cover it all. But
of course.
We would like nothing more than to say sunny and warm for the next week and a half and let everybody just stand down and relax. But there is a chance for some snow. Right now, I'm tracking a little bit of that across northern parts of the area. Up around Richmond, we've seen a few light snow showers back over towards the middle peninsula. Nothing that's adding up to anything. And again, temperatures are above freezing. As we pick up the futurecast, here's what you need to know. We are going to see the chances for some precip a little bit later in the afternoon and down to the south. You see the rain showers kind of filling in. Not a lot around here through 5:30, 6 o'clock. But as the evening continues, you start to see where there are some areas mixing across Chesapeake, Suffolk, back to Isle of Wight. Again, northern sections of Southampton into Sussex and Surrey, back over to the peninsula. A little bit of light snow will be possible. Some more mixing down to the south. Could see a little bit of freezing rain or sleet down towards Hertford and Gates County. That's one of those areas identified where there might be a little bit of sleet mixing in. That's around 12 to, say, 1 a.m.
So, Craig, with a system like this, what would be the concern, if any, for people when when it comes in?
So we're taking a look at it. There will be opportunities for some wintry precipitation, and it doesn't take a lot to create issues on the roads. Let's talk about snowfall amounts. And first of all, here's the Euro's ice projection. You can see pretty minimal amounts projected down to the south with the latest Euro, but I think they were concerned. One of the things they consult, the National Blend of Models, I think, was trying to project a little more ice down that way towards central North Carolina. I think it may have backed off a little bit recently, but honestly, that's kind of outside of our immediate area, so I haven't looked too closely at the ice potential. But I just wanted to share that down towards Greenville and Raleigh, there could be some issues. Even around Elizabeth City, we'll watch for that. Now, as we take a look at the snow potential, I'm showing you 3 models, the Euro, the GFS, and the NAM. Eugene, earlier when I showed this NAM model, it was showing 2 inches. Right now, you're looking at a 1/2 inch in Norfolk, 0.9 in Virginia Beach, still 1.2 in Chesapeake, and a little bit more down south of Franklin. But this model is backed off considerably. Yesterday, the graph model was showing 5 inches in Franklin, and today it's got less than 1/2 inch there. Now, I didn't go with that 5 inches. I never thought for a second it was going to be that bad. But I just bring this up so that our listeners and viewers can see that these models can be all over the place. So we give you kind of what we're thinking, weighing what the models and guidance present, but we also take into, our own experience in dealing with these storms and kind of thinking kind of big picture, well, what's this have to overcome to get to those levels? If the ground's all frozen, it's one thing. If the air, remember when we talk about the snow ratios where we talk about, 1 inch of rain equals 10 inches of snow?
Yeah, I remember.
When it was a light, very cold, fluffy, dry snow like we had over the weekend, those ratios were 1 inch of rain to 15 or 18 inches of snow. That was very light, dry, fluffy snow. In this case, it's much, much lower. Instead of being 1 to 10, which is kind of your rule of thumb, this is going to be a wetter, warmer precip event. We might be looking at 1 inch to, say, 6 inches of snow, as opposed to 10 or 15 or 20. So my point is, in this case, as this stuff falls, even if it falls as snow, it's going to be a more condensed snow. And it just doesn't look like it's going to add up. Most areas will see maybe a coating up to about 1 inch or so. Let's go ahead and show you kind of the way we're looking at it now. A dusting to 1/2 inch for some areas off to the north, maybe a dusting to 1 inch, inch plus. You have a question, Sarah? Are you ready for a break?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to compare, how much snow did, say, Virginia Beach get over the weekend?
2 inches.
They got 2 inches.
2 to 2.5. Some parts of Virginia Beach got 2.5 inches.
Okay, I was just curious because you can tell me like we're gonna get 1, 2, 3 inches. I have no concept of what that means.
Okay, so that's a great point, and I don't know if I can pull this up quickly. Let me see if Evan had this, because he was telling me, as we leave that map up for just a second, I'll see if I can't locate this. Evan did a great image. He said, Craig, he goes, feel free to use this if we can pull it up here. He did a comparison, pictures of Town Point Park with like 1 inch and 2 inches, so you can see what it looks like. Because even an inch of snow on grassy areas, you're going to see blades of grass sticking through. You get a dusting. Maybe you see an inch on like handrails and stuff like that. It's pretty, but you're not waking up to just a blanket, a mantle of white, covering the ground. And I think that's the other thing. People can sometimes think, oh, should we expect this or that? So, the bottom line is we're not going to be dismissive about this. If things start to change up and all of a sudden a lot more cold air comes in, or there's more moisture or something comes in, we don't anticipate that. But if something were to change big time, our staff this afternoon and evening would be all over it. As it stands right now, it just doesn't look like this is going to be that big of a deal. That being said, it only takes a little bit of slush or some areas of a little bit of snow on the roads to make them very challenging, and we don't want anybody to get caught up in any of that. Let's see what we have here. New snow. Oh, I thought I had Evan's comparison thing here. All right, well, maybe we can look for that during the commercial break. But what I want to tell you guys, again, I do anticipate some mixed to snow across the area. You might wake up, look out your window and see it falling a little bit tonight. It should not add up to a lot. The areas that we have the best chances of seeing accumulation would be grassy and elevated surfaces. The roads, we're just putting out this weather impact alert as we want folks to know that, there could be some impacts. Roads could be slick later tonight.
Craig, I don't know if this is a stat that you all would have in your back pocket, or if there's a way to figure it out. But I would wonder what's the record for days that we have had snow on the ground here in maybe in a year span or maybe a month span.
That's not a stat that I can pull out of my pocket.
Because I'm sitting there thinking, that would be an interesting stat if we ever had. Again, immediately I thought, I don't know if anyone would really calculate that. But either snow falling or snow on the ground. How many? Because this.
The National Weather Service does keep stats on, snow and snowfall, snow on the ground. They do keep that. That's not a database that's super easy to access, so that might be something. I think, Eugene, in your spare time, you should look into researching the amount of snow on the ground over years. But no, that's a tough one. We might be able to find something on that.
Yeah,
we can look around.
Just curious, when you think about just this 2-week span that we've had. I mean, obviously in North Carolina, it's a little bit, even for them too. Just how many days in a month or a few months span that we've seen over the last 2 years we've had snow actually either falling or on the ground. I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can see. We'll see. But listen, Craig, let's go ahead and take a quick break. It's 10:13 right now. We'll be back in about 2 minutes more here on Live Impact News. Okay, thank you for staying with us here on Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. We were just talking about the forecast as we are looking at the chance of another round of wintry mix. And Craig Moeller, our meteorologist, is here. And Craig, you've been very clear, and I appreciate, as you've taken us through what we're looking at right now. We're not looking at a system remotely close to what we've been looking at the last several days or what we had this weekend. But there is a chance for some kind of mix.
Yeah, we're looking for the potential for some snow this evening, and I just had that graphic I wanted to show you, and I'm going to be able to pull it up here. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. It was snowfall comparison, and I did have it. And it's really, I think it speaks to what Sarah was asking about, too. So let me just get that. Wouldn't you know, it's like I had it up there, and then as we came back out, the computer closed down on me. But it is interesting to note, because when we talk about, different things coming down, we want to make sure everybody understands really what we're looking at. So here, I think it's pulling up right now. Let's see if you can see this here. You got the graphic up? It says snowfall expectations on the top of it. And here you go. Okay, so that first image there is what a trace of snow looks like. You can see on that graph. Let's take that full, Sarah. You can see how there's just some very minor amounts, Sarah. Dusting to a half an inch. Still not bad on the ground. It doesn't look like much, Sarah, right?
No.
Not too concerned with that. As you can see, there is some collection on the grassy areas, especially like mulch beds and different things like that. That's where you get that dusting, a heavy coating. In some cases, it fills in. Once you get to an inch of snow on the ground, that's what that third image is, you can see how it starts to cover up some of the roads and walkways become a little more slushy or even snow covered. But you're still going to find some things kind of peeking through. It's not that heavy blanket. So this is what we may see in some areas. That's the high end, is kind of what we're saying, an inch, maybe inch plus in case it's a little bit over an inch. But it's funny. I mean, we're splitting hairs in this day and time where we're like, is it going to be a quarter inch, a half an inch? What is going on? And then, you call for an inch and you get very little, a trace or dusting, and people are like, you guys don't know what you're doing. Or you call for an inch and you get an inch and a half. What are you guys doing?
And then also, does how the landscape of where you live also play a part in this as well? And so there's a lot of things. If you're looking and trying to ballpark it, you could be living on an elevated surface. Or like you said, there's grassy areas and mulch.
Are the winds blowing some of that away?
Yes.
What's the surface? How much heat is that surface retaining? Is it a thing where, that pavement's warmer, so you may get an inch and a half of snow, but you basically wake up with just a little bit of slush on the ground, or maybe you see a little bit collected in the corners of the windshield of your car in the parking lot, but you don't really see it on the ground. At any rate, none of the models are going heavy at this point. That's our bottom line. I do think we'll see a little bit of wintry precip overnight, some mix to snow, and there might be a little bit sticking to the ground. Again, especially those elevated surfaces. That's where we look for it. But it's just one of those things that we just need to wait and see. And I think people have heard snow so many times, they brace for all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those things when I talk to people either at the grocery store or I'm out and about, etc. It's interesting where that line, that threshold is to where they feel about snow, because man, we live in the beach. Oh, we love snow. We want to see the snow, especially around the holidays. And then there's a threshold. There's a point for some people
that
they're like,
no
okay,
mas.
no mas.
Yeah, no mas. We're done. We're good. We're good. Here's a look at the kind of the snow potential map as we kind of latest sinking here is a dusting up to, say, a half an inch or so for those areas off to the north. You might see in some areas close to an inch, even up around the Richmond area, that kind of that northern part, but likely it's going to be less than an inch for those areas. Dusting to an inch or a little bit more potentially if it all comes together in that darker blue area. So we'll need to see if that all comes to fruition. But this is kind of the thinking. Let's give you some confidence meters. What do we really think about this? Precip type. Pretty confident we'll see some rain and mix changing over to snow at some point this evening and overnight. The snow totals, if you remember yesterday, I had it kind of moderate to almost low for the snow totals. Now you're seeing moderate to high, and that the models, again, the consensus is that it's going to be light, and those models are starting to line up with those tempered expectations. And again, the timing is pretty well agreed upon. That has been the case the whole time. So, again, we do have this weather impact alert, as there's a good chance we're going to see this stuff developing during the evening, some rain mixing as we go through the middle part of the evening, and then changing over to snow, at least snow showers as we go through the overnight and early tomorrow. Temperatures today will top out in the upper 30s. We'll see lows tonight down around 30, and then tomorrow back up to 33. It's a chillier day, so what does fall, again, there might be some kind of slushy areas. If we do get a little bit more in that range, there might be a few slick spots. So I also want to make it clear that we're not blowing this off either. I mean, we want folks to know there is a threat that we could see some things impacting some of the roads and even walkways. I mean, if somebody lets their dog out to take care of business tomorrow morning at 4:30 in the morning, and they step out on their deck and they weren't paying attention and didn't realize that it was a little snow covered or icy or whatever, and they get hurt, that really stinks. So if we give folks a heads up, hey, we might see some snow or a little bit of accumulation, especially elevated surfaces overnight, be extra careful. Why not? You know, let's make sure everybody knows what the threats are. Looking ahead to your weekend, Sarah, she's all about that weekend. Sunshine should be mostly sunny, mid-30s on Saturday, mid-30s on Sunday into Monday, and then low 40s on Tuesday. Eugene, I know you are a man of hope. All right, so I'm going to give you something to feel a little bit better about.
Okay,
here.
what you got? What you got?
I'm going as soon as I can pull it here. And again, it's funny when we present on air, we have all of these wonderful gadgets and clickers and things that move it along. Here I'm doing it all with a touchpad through a laptop. It's a
man of many gifts.
A little bit clunkier here, but here's what we have for you. Let's start off with the fact that the last time we were above average was January 22nd of 2026.
Don't like it.
This year, just last January the 22nd, we had a high of 60. That was at Norfolk. We are likely to stay below average over a period that spans 3 weeks.
What's crazy is I remember this day specifically when it hit 60 degrees.
Felt pretty good.
Oh, my gosh. It was great. I think I wore shorts.
This is going to be hard for you to believe,
What's
Eugene,
that?
But I was out playing pickleball that afternoon.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I was in shorts.
Actually, I
bet.
do remember you telling me about it.
It was great. All right. As we take a look at the next 10 days, today's highs will be in the upper 30s to near 40. Again, our normal high now is 52. So, we should be there, but we're going to stay below that. Certainly through the weekend and early next week. Look at what happens on Wednesday, though.
Nice. Tuesday and Wednesday. Pretty nice. We get above 50.
We may break this streak of days below average by that time if it just bumps a little bit. Doesn't need to fluctuate a lot. And this is just model output. It does go up and down a little bit. So maybe it ends earlier. But if this is correct, it will run all the way through the 14th. Then as we go beyond that, this is what you really want to see. All right, I'll show you the precip outlook. That's not a big deal. Wetter out west and wetter in the central U.S. We should be near average here. But give me a drum roll, please. How about this? Ta-da! Temperatures averaging
Oh, my goodness.
a little above average.
Love to see it.
Yeah, finally, that warmer air builds across the central U.S. and even here on the East Coast. It looks like after the following Saturday, which is Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Doesn't it fall on a Saturday?
Yeah, it's not this Saturday. It's next Saturday.
Yeah.
That I think for that it was about 46 degrees.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit cool there, but beyond that, because you're looking at an average here through the 18th. So basically like the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th should be warmer, offsetting those earlier days in this. So it does look like after Valentine's Day, things may be heating up. And if you forget your Valentine, I can promise you things will be heating up in your personal
they will be.
life.
Yes, they will be. Mother Nature hopefully will hook you up though.
I'm just saying. Don't
nice.
forget your significant other. You don't want to get in hot water that way. So, anyway, any questions about the forecast? You guys good?
I think we're good, man.
All right. Can I stress again, stay tuned for updates this afternoon. At this point, doesn't look like a super big deal, but that doesn't mean that it can't go back the other way. Again, we could talk tomorrow morning, Eugene, saying, hey, yeah, we got a little bit more here or there. So it's still a possibility, but right now, based on everything we're looking at, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and there's a few different ways people can do that, right? Obviously, you can stick with us on air at 13 News Now, but you can find us online, 13newsnow.com. But how about this really easy way if you're not near your TV or whatever that may be on the go? Download the app if you don't already have it. If you're not using your phone right now, you can scan that QR code with your camera app, and you can download it. Go ahead and get it. It's free, easy to use. And all the updates that Craig is talking about can come in right through there as we kind of track this.
News, weather, and traffic, all right there. So you'll get the full lowdown on what's happening here around the 757.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. All right, Craig. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully people will take heed to what you just said and stay up to date on this forecast as we are looking at all of this over the next several hours or so. We're going to go ahead and take another quick break, and we'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus here on our streaming app. Right now, we want to take you to a live look of a Senate hearing that is taking place looking at the future of automated cars that we have. We got a few of the leaders within the industry who are currently speaking before the hearing panel. And we're going to go ahead and let you listen in. This is as Tesla and Waymo executives speak on the future of self-driving cars. It's still incredible to me, Sarah, to believe that we are at this stage where we have self-driving cars. But let's listen to them at this point, and then we'll come right back. All right, let's get the sound situated real quick, and we'll go on from there. Hold on one second. But again, this is a live hearing that is taking place. And we do have a few other things that are happening right now, and we'll get to you right after we listen in for a little bit. But let's go ahead and check in.
Second, put AV data reporting on solid legal footing by enshrining in statute a national AV safety data repository that has NHTSA collecting data and sharing vital information with state regulatory partners. Third, modernize federal standards related to vehicle controls that are intended for human drivers, thereby allowing innovators to develop next-generation vehicles that take meaningful steps forward on accessibility. A federal framework should complement the 26 state AV deployment laws already in place, not replace them. Regulating autonomous vehicles is a shared responsibility between the federal and state governments. but we need the federal government to step up. Under Choice A, we set the global standards. We build the technology here. We create high-quality American jobs rooted in U.S. communities. With Choice A, America doesn't just adopt autonomous vehicles. America defines them. Then there is Choice B, under which we reject this opportunity and fail to put in place a federal policy framework. Choice B has the following consequences. China becomes the global leader on autonomous vehicles. At this moment, the People's Republic of China is devoting massive resources to the development of its national champions. It is not waiting to find out what American policymakers want to do. The state-run Beijing Review put it succinctly, quote, Chinese-developed autonomous driving technologies have made inroads into a growing number of global markets, citing activity in France, Spain, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. With one Chinese industry member calling the development of AVs, quote, a hallmark of made-in-China innovation. Finally, under Choice B, we accept the status quo. Preventable deaths due to human error, transportation options that leave millions in the rearview mirror, faltering supply chains that let small businesses down, and states leading on AV policy with little guidance from their federal counterparts. Members of the committee, I implore you to choose Choice A. This committee can, on a bipartisan basis, advance American leadership, increase safety standards, and create new, high-paying and fulfilling jobs. And with the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Bill before this committee, you have the perfect vehicle to lead. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify this morning.
Thank you. Professor Smith, your 5 minutes.
Thank you for your invitation. I'll offer 7 points. First, American driving is dangerous. Automated driving could help if we're careful about it. But people are dying today not because we're careful about automated driving, but rather because we're careless about road safety generally. Other countries do care. Driving in the US is twice as deadly as in Canada and Australia. As a South Carolinian, I'm 10 times more likely to die in a crash than my friends in the UK. 10 times. These countries aren't hiding some vast secret fleet of AVs. I can't yet hail a robo-taxi in London, but I can cross the street. Second, arrogance is careless. AVs have tremendous potential, but believing they will be a panacea virtually guarantees they won't, because that confidence blinds us to risks. Many engineers working on AVs show humility. They talk with me about what's hard, what went wrong, and what's uncertain. They want to learn from local officials. I wish AV companies would show more of this humility in their PR. Third, the best proxy for the safety of AVs is the trustworthiness of AV companies. There are no self-driving or driverless cars. The companies that develop and deploy AVs are the drivers. This means that an AV is only as safe as the companies responsible for it. We can and should proactively assess their trustworthiness. AVs won't be perfect, but a company can still do right after its technology fails. It can explain what went wrong, how it's addressing the actual harm, how it's reducing future risks, and critically, what it's learned more broadly. We need to see more of this. Doing right does not mean forcing victims into arbitrations, and it does not mean buying their silence and thereby misleading the public. These are betrayals of trust. Fourth, safety is a marriage, not a wedding. Safety is a lifelong commitment that continues as long as an AV is on the road. It's not just a one-time test or certification or checklist. A credible safety case must be a living document that is clearly supported, robustly interrogated, and routinely updated. Vehicles placed on our roads stay there for decades and therefore need oversight for decades. NHTSA provides some of this oversight, and AVs will dramatically expand the scope of it. Yet both NHTSA and FMCSA are tiny, under-resourced agencies with huge mandates. Fifth, AVs are an especially visible part of a much broader discussion of AI. As a society, we're likely to place many of our hopes and fears about AI generally on AVs specifically. The Transforming Transportation Advisory Committee, which I vice-chaired, addressed many of these issues, including employment, accessibility, sustainability in the face of climate change, privacy vis-a-vis both companies and governments, and fundamental questions of power. For each, we need clear policy goals and an iterative approach to achieving them. Sixth, local government has essential expertise. Few appreciate how much local governments are subsidizing automated driving. First responders, for example, solve all kinds of problems today, from waking up people in robotaxis to literally moving AVs that are stuck. These local officials deserve our respect. They want the people who remotely assist AVs to be in the US. They need to know AVs will help rather than hurt their response to disasters. They want to be able to ticket AV companies for moving violations just as they would any other driver. They emphasize that every city is unique and AVs must operate accordingly. Finally, we must empower, not disempower, our communities. Preempting state and local authority would be profoundly short-sighted. And I say this as someone who believes strongly in the potential of AVs. Many states want the federal government to lead on AV policy, but great leaders lead, telling US DOT what to do and providing the resources to do it would help much more than telling states what not to do. Preemption could create litigation rather than certainty. It could bar states from getting unsafe vehicles and unsafe drivers, human or otherwise, off the road. Our AV industry started through federal research decades ago, and then grew through our system of federalism. Brand America does have a serious credibility problem abroad, but preemption does not solve it. In a scary time of technological change, we need to make sure that communities and the people in them have control and feel in control. We can deploy both technology and policy in a way that protects and empowers them. Thank you.
Thank you to our witnesses. We'll now begin our questioning, and I'll yield to my colleague, Senator Blackburn, to begin the questioning.
Thank you so much, and to each of you, thank you for taking the time to be here today. Mr. Farrer, I want to come to you first. 2017, I was over in the House and chaired Comms and Tech over at the Energy and Commerce Committee. And that is when we took the first legislative text to the committee to deal with autonomous vehicles and to allow this technology to flourish. We had worked on it for about 3 years to get to that point. And of course, we had some folks that did not realize the safety components that come from working on this technology. So they chose to repeatedly shut down the guidelines that would be there for AVs. And I want you to just touch on how this technology, the autonomous technology, helps make our roads safer, helps make our vehicles safer and more responsive, and how it is helping to reduce fatalities.
Senator Blackburn, thank you very much for the question. And before I answer, I'll just say thank you very much for all your leadership going back to when you were in the House and now here in the Senate. And I'll say that it has been quite a few years since a lot of this discussion has started, but a couple of things have really changed. The first thing that's changed is this is no longer science fiction. This is on roads, as I said in my opening statement. 26 states proactively authorize this technology. They are carrying passengers right at this very moment. So this is a reality for many, many Americans. The second thing that's changed is that we are no longer alone in the quest to have self-driving vehicles. We now have strategic competitors, most notably the People's Republic of China, that are bound and determined to be the global leaders when it comes to autonomous vehicles. But without a federal policy framework, we are asking our innovators to fight with one hand behind their back. And so that is why it's so important to pass a federal policy framework. And you touched on safety. This is the driving force behind our industry. We want to make our roads safer. We reject this idea that we just have to accept all the fatalities, accept all the injuries, accept millions of Americans being held back because vehicles are not accessible enough. And fundamentally, what we're trying to do with safety is we're trying to overcome human error. We're trying to overcome the things that Chairman Cruz talked about in his opening statement, the big drivers of fatalities in this country.
And Mr. Morave, pardon me, and Dr. Pena, let me come to you. I know that you all are working on safety, And we talked about this yesterday when we met, and thank you again for your time. And one of the things that people are concerned about is the amount of consumer data. They like the safety, they want you to innovate, they want to lower fatalities, but they're saying, what kind of data are you getting? So how are you all collecting and storing and working through the data? Mr. Moravi.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn, and appreciate the time we had yesterday to discuss a little bit ahead of it. With regards to the data that we collect to improve our products, we always use an opt-in policy, and that occurs when you select the advanced driving systems. We always aggregate and anonymize the data to ensure customer privacy, and then we use the swath of data that was collected, to create generalizations about individual scenarios that we can improve.
Okay, so you do not store the data from the car. You anonymize that data.
That's correct. The data comes to our
All
central.
right, let me ask you this. I know you all are focused on U.S. production. So how are you dealing with supply chains? And Dr. Pena, I'm coming to you on that one also after his answer.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. Yeah, as you may know, Tesla produces 4 of the 5 top U.S.-made cars, and we've always been committed to building locally. We produce all of the vehicles sold in the U.S. by Tesla in the U.S. We have facilities in both Texas and Fremont, California that do that, and we work hard with our supply chain to ensure that they are also local to the U.S. and North America.
Okay.
Over 95% of our parts come from North America.
Okay. Dr. Pena?
Okay, we're just listening there to a Senate hearing happening right now on the future of autonomous vehicles. Now, a big thing about this conversation right now is you're listening to executives and leaders within the space from both Tesla and from Waymo, and then other professors, et cetera, who are experts within this field. They're trying to get Congress to pass legislation that would make it easier for these robo-taxis to be in states across the country. Their fear is that they are losing ground to China, to other locations that are already advancing this technology. There are some cities across the country, like, for instance, in Chicago, there's a new bill that's been entered there that's looking at allowing for the possibilities of these autonomous vehicles to be there. But the big question is safety, and you kind of heard that within the hearing so far, as now they've started to get questions from the senators. That is what they want to know. How safe is this going to be to have these autonomous vehicles on our roads from a driving standpoint? But that hearing, very interesting to take in, to listen to. Sarah, again, I said it at the beginning, it's amazing that we are here when it comes to innovation, that we are going to be potentially sharing the roads with vehicles that are driving themselves, So we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Thank you for staying with us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. Hey, there is a new name for the Dome in Virginia Beach. Just moments ago, they announced this new name with their top sponsor taking on the name as well. We're talking about Rudder Mills. It is now going to be the Dome by Rudder Mills. And again, we recorded the press conference and the introduction just a few moments ago. So let's go ahead and show you those moments.
We're hearing the stories, the legends, the legacy of this place, and all of the iconic artists who once stood on this stage. So when I learned I'd be part of the team bringing the Dome back to life, it was more than just a project for me. It's really been personal. Now, nearly a full year after opening our doors, it's incredible to stand here and see this vision fully realized. From early plans, steel, and concrete, to a powerful first season, this one-of-a-kind venue that we're gathered in here today. This did not happen by accident. It happened through vision, collaboration, and community, and through strong public and private partnerships that believed in what this place could become. Many of those partners are here with us today. In just a moment, you'll hear from a few of them, but first, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge our mayor and our city council members that are in the room. If you please stand so we can give you a round of applause. Thank you so much for your support. As we kick off another exciting year at the Dome, we're here today to make an important announcement and what's next. To kick things off, please join me in welcoming Matt Rogers, our Vice President of Regional Operations for Live Nation.
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see both familiar faces and some new faces today. On behalf of the Dome and Live Nation, thank you for being here to celebrate a special experience or a special moment in the life of the venue and the future of live entertainment in Virginia Beach. This place has always been more than a building. It's a gathering place, a shared culture and community. Over the past year, we've been focused on honoring that legacy while building what comes next. And the momentum has been real. In our very first year, we welcomed over 40 shows, bringing a diverse mix of artists and audiences together, including performances from Shabuzi, Turnover, 3 nights of Clips, and an unforgettable performance from Whiskey Myers. Already this year, we've announced shows with Miguel on February 13th, great night, pre-night, Valentine's Day date night. We've announced David Byrne on May 13th, 2 nights of Goose, June 15th and June 16th. Thank you. I'm going to meet brother here for Goose. We'll be here both nights, okay? At the center of everything we do is fan experience. From how people arrive, to how they move through the building, to how they feel when they leave, every detail matters. Our focus is simple. Create a place where people want to return for fans and artists alike. The work doesn't happen alone. It happens through real collaboration with the City of Virginia Beach, local leadership, public safety teams, tourism partners, community organizations who all make this possible. City teams who show up early, stay late. We like to say in our business, first in, last out. Public safety partners who keep us safe. Operations teams who solve problems before they become problems. Tourism and economic development leaders who understand the role of live music plays in growing the cultural identity of the city. These relationships aren't symbolic, they're operational, and they matter every single night we open these doors. The venue's success is directly tied to the strength of those relationships, and we value them deeply. We take pride in knowing that the impact of this venue reaches far beyond these walls. It supports local jobs, tourism, economic growth, and the cultural life of this city. Live music is a part of how cities tell their story. It reflects who we are, what we value, and how we come together. The venue plays a role in the story of Virginia Beach, and we take that responsibility very seriously. What we're building here is a long-term, is creating something that serves this community, strengthens the city, and leaves a lasting impact for generations of fans to come. What brings us here today is about partnership. It's about a shared purpose. It's about welcoming an organization that shares our commitment to this city and to the future of this venue. Today, we're proud to officially welcome our new partner into the story of the Dome. The signage may have given it away already, but it's my honor to announce the name of our venue for the very first time. Welcome to the Dome by Rudder Mills.
Thank you, Matt. How does the Dome by Rudder Mills sound? Pretty good, right? Rolls right off the tongue. Rudder Mills has been part of the Hampton Roads community for over 65 years, serving individuals and families during their pivotal moments. We're excited to welcome Rudder Mills team into the Dome family and begin our partnership grounded in deep community ties and a shared commitment to serving this city. To share more about this partnership, it's my pleasure to introduce Brother Rudder, Managing Partner of Rudder Mills.
Thanks, Tabitha. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out on this frigid morning. You know, we are used to cold now and again in Virginia Beach, but usually it's one day, a little bit of snow, the next day it's 65 degrees, right? We can sled down Mount Trashmore one day and, you know, get tubed in Atlantic Park the next day. Anyway, in working to get this sponsorship put together, I was struck by how much each of us, the City of Virginia Beach, Live Nation, and Rudder Mills, share a really deep commitment to see the Dome magnify and enhance the cultural experience, not just for Virginia Beach, but for all the 7 cities of Hampton Roads. We don't think that iconic is too big of a name for where we sit today. And as I watched everybody working through the typical issues that arise from commitments like this, I was struck by the unwavering commitment of each of these partners to make this a success. Everyone knows this venue can and will become an icon, just like it was 60 years ago. So thank you, Mayor Dyer, City Council, for persevering in this, and thank you, Live Nation, for believing that this was the right partnership at the right time and getting this ball over the finish line. We're thrilled to be part of this greatest new live music venue in America, alongside the game-changing development now known as Atlantic Park. So standing here is a little bit surreal. You know, for generations, the Dome is a place where people came together, not just for music, but to make memories, and I think that's going to be its future also. And I've got a few of my own, you know, tied to this place. My dad and I used to come every year to the old Dome. They used to have what was called the Mid-Atlantic Waterfowl Festival. And that was, you know, for us outdoorsmen and decoy swapping and, you know, that kind of thing. That was fun. But I also used to get dropped off by my mom for roller skating night. Because people always ask me, did you get to see any of these great live bands that came to the Dome? But I was at the age where my parents were still making the decisions for me. And that was the music I was not allowed to listen to. But what they didn't know is my mom dropped me off and gave me $5 for the jukebox, was all that stuff was on the jukebox. So I could hold hands with a girl, skate in a circle, and listen on repeat to everything that wasn't allowed to be played in my house. It was magic, right? And I'm looking forward to that again here and having that experience here at the new Dome. So times change, styles change, and the Dome, well, it's changed quite a bit. Today, we're honored to help write its next chapter together with the City of Virginia Beach, Live Nation, and Rudder Mills. Our firm, our family, now also beginning its next chapter with our 3rd generation starting to assume leadership of Rudder Mills. So we're moving on with the Dome into a new generation also, and we're excited about it. In the late 1950s, just after the original Dome opened, my father started a law firm here in Hampton Roads. The Dome officially opened in 1958. We officially opened in 1959. So for almost 7 decades, my family's been working closely to build a legacy that would make my dad proud from that day forward. And I think we're close. I think we're close. Over those years, we've had the privilege of standing beside Virginians during some of the hardest moments of their lives. We've recovered well over $1 billion for our clients in this community. But more importantly, we built relationships and trust that mean everything to us. So when people ask, why would a law firm want to partner with a music venue, my answer is pretty simple. Because we don't want to just be known as somebody who shows up when things go wrong. We want to be a part of the moment when things go right, too. Because becoming a naming right partner of this venue is another way we show up for the community in moments of joy and celebration and connection. And that's what live music is. We believe deeply in the power of personal communication, not behind a screen, not over a long distance, eye to eye, face to face, dance step to dance step. And I think that this venue will bring that joy to so many people in this area, in this city, but in this region. And so while this venue proudly calls Virginia Beach home, as do I, the Dome by Rudder Mills belongs to everyone who loves entertainment, locals, visitors, artists, families from across the entire region. This is a place where memories will be made again together. I was speaking earlier to Worth and saying that it feels like this whole development here with Atlantic Park and the Dome is starting to shift the center of gravity a little bit south in Virginia Beach. And it's starting to flatten the calendar out a little bit where we're not just worried about how we're going to make the shoulder season, right? Now we're talking about a 12-month season. And what that offers as an opportunity to this city, we want to be a part of. I do, my wife does, my children do, the next generation of Rudder Mills wants to be a part of that. So why are we involved here? How can we not be involved here, I think? So as our family's third generation starts to chart their course for this business, they want to extend our mission beyond the courtroom by working hand in hand with local nonprofits to support families, youth programs, the arts, and organizations that strengthen our community, because community isn't one-dimensional. Supporting people means supporting the places where they come together. And what better place to come together than the Dome by Rudder Mills? I love saying that. This venue is about more than concerts. It's about community, connection, and creating something lasting for Virginia Beach and beyond. We've served the Tidewater area for nearly 7 decades. These are our people. This is our home. Our commitment has always been and will continue to be local, personal, and deeply connected. We're here for the long haul. We're here to grow alongside this community and to give back on a scale we've never done before and could not do alone. Our hope is that every concert, every event, every gathering of any type here leaves something positive behind, not just memories, but real and meaningful personal impact. At the end of the day, this isn't about putting our name on a building. It's about putting our values into action. Our name may be on the sign, but our focus will always be on the people inside. So thank you for being part of this moment and for helping us build something meaningful together. The Dome by Rudder Mills.
There you have it, the Dome by Rudder Mills. You saw their brother Rudder speaking on his experiences throughout the years and why they're excited to be partnering and getting their name on the name of this venue that has now reopened and had some really great concerts that have been there. Sarah, and we got meteorologist Hunter Forrest who's in here as well. Sarah, you were talking about you saw some concerts. Now, were they at the Dome?
Yeah.
Okay, what was it?
He mentioned them. I saw Turnover there in June.
Homegrown band, right?
Yep, they are local.
Nice. Really nice. And I know Clips, who just won a Grammy, they've performed there. They've had some pretty big acts and good, events that have been there since they reopened the space. I want to say it was last year, but I can't remember what month it took place. So a lot of kind of energy that is going on with that, and now every time you see it, you'll think Rudder Mills.
Yep.
You know, so definitely excited for them and for the community to have that here and to see kind of where things are going momentum-wise there in Virginia Beach. But speaking of momentum, let's go ahead and take a quick break, because on the back end, we're going to have Hunter breaking down if anybody is going to be outside over the next few days. Probably not is what he's saying at this point. Give us about 2 minutes and we'll be right back.
To love so.
Okay, welcome back. And we were getting a bit of a concert right before the break ended. We were talking about the new name for the Dome by Rudder Mills there, the concert venue, the event space. And Hunter got a little inspired there at the end. Would you like to share with the class, Hunter? What were you singing?
Oh, well, I didn't know my mic was on. And I've had this song stuck in my head for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's the only line I know.
Okay.
And Marta during Daybreak this morning was like, "Can you please sing another line?" Like she was getting a little irritated with me,
well,
which I can't blame her.
Well, you know what? We loved it, Hunter. We
Thank you.
appreciated it. You have the voice of an angel. There
Thank
you go. Exactly. We
I will
love
be
it.
singing at the Dome.
Huh?
I will be singing at the Dome.
Okay, you heard it here first. Hunter Forrest. Is that going to be your stage name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why change what's already
Actually,
perfect?
my stage name is going to be Sarah Calloway.
Oh, well.
You're like, what
perfect.
can't he do?
Well, we know one thing he for sure can do, and that is forecasting. And, you know, on the top of this stream, we had Craig, who was in here and telling us about the potential for a winter mix. Not what we looked at prior, you know, in terms of recent days, but still the chance nonetheless that we can get some snow. And I know you all have kind of been talking, looking at the models, figuring out what it could potentially look like. I imagine, hopefully, not too much has changed here within the last hour. What are you seeing from your vantage point?
No, it's not supposed to be, you know, anything major as we head into tonight and early tomorrow morning. Could pick up, you know, a half an inch to an inch plus in areas around the south side. So, you know, nothing we can't handle around here. We have winter weather advisories up for parts of the area. Not everyone is under it, but that goes through tonight into early tomorrow morning. But we are going to see some rain later this evening, transitioning on over to snow. It looks like eastern North Carolina will stay more rain, but then the further north you go, you'll see a little bit more snow. So you could run into a few slick spots later tonight into early tomorrow morning. So you want to keep that in mind if you are stepping out the door. But things are fine this afternoon or late this morning. We're seeing a bit more sunshine. It was a cloudy start to the day, and it was cool, but not too bad. We were in the upper 30s, and right now we're sitting in the upper 30s here in Norfolk. 44 in Virginia Beach. It's 38 in Hampton, 38 in Newport News, 42 in Suffolk, 41 in Elizabeth City, 43 in Chesapeake. Things are looking good on our satellite and radar. We saw a few light sprinkles earlier this morning, but overall today will stay partly to mostly cloudy, upper 30s to low 40s throughout the day. But here's a look at the winter weather advisories that are in effect through tonight. So all of the south side and the southern portions of the peninsula, and then we have Ahoskie is under the winter weather advisory, but far eastern North Carolina is not. So Edenton, Elizabeth City, Nags Head, not under these winter storm alerts, because you'll likely just be seeing more in the way of rain, maybe a little bit of a mix, but we'll see more snow along that state line further north. So here's a look at the futurecast. 4 or 5 o'clock, your ride home from work, just going to be cloudy, upper 30s to low 40s. Then you'll notice, heading into this evening, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, that's when we'll see some showers in eastern North Carolina, some snow showers off to the north. That lingers into early Thursday morning, but by the time you're heading off to work, we'll be in the clear. And by the afternoon, it's going to be a cold, breezy day in the mid to low 30s. Going to be feeling more like the low 20s throughout the entire afternoon. And then as we get into our Friday morning, it's going to be a dry but cool start to the day, upper 20s to right around 30 degrees. So not expecting, a whole lot with this storm. Could see, dusting to an inch plus in a few areas, especially the south side. Could pick up, isolated 1.5 inches. Maybe in an area getting 2 inches. I think that's, kind of far-fetched, but you never know. You could pick up 2 inches in a spot or two. But I think mainly going to be a dusting to an inch. The further south you go, you'll pick up less. And the further north you go, you'll pick up less as well. So it's the darker blue areas, Hampton, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Franklin, where you could see a little bit more than a dusting, especially on elevated surfaces and grassy surfaces as well. But as you guys know, I'm sure, because we've been busy, the last 2 weekends we've had winter weather. So we've been having to work, overtime. But luckily this weekend, not looking like any winter weather.
Oh, man.
So not 3 for 3.
I'm making plans. Do you understand me? I would normally say the outside would see me, but it really only depends on what the temperature is. But you know what? After, we have been working really hard. It's what we do when things happen in the area. We love our jobs.
Right.
Man, when I tell you, like I said, I got some plans this weekend already, Hunter.
You're going to have to bundle up.
It's okay.
Unfortunately.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
I mean, mid-30s, and it's going to be windy. So it'll be feeling more like 20 degrees.
Okay.
Which is fine. At least it'll be sunny.
Well, just the drive to where I'm going. That's really the only outside I really mean. I just mean outside of my house, outside of my place. And for those, you just kind of mentioned it for this weekend. If they have any plans of those things, that's what they can look forward to. But, we were talking about this system that we're looking into in the next few hours into tomorrow. What potential concerns could there be for people? Are we really talking about mostly like slick roads, surfaces, as people, wake up in the morning and they're heading off to work, or maybe even tonight when they're coming back? Is that what we're kind of focusing in on?
Yeah, I would say there could be a few slick spots. I don't think it's going to be very widespread.
Okay.
But I think, of course, whenever there's winter weather, no matter how much, you just got to take that extra precaution. Because there could be a few slick spots on the roadways, especially overnight when temperatures drop below freezing. So I would say that would be the main concern. But other than that, nothing too major with this system. It's going to be pretty chill.
Okay. All right. Chill is a word.
Chill is a word.
Chill could describe multiple things, right? It can describe a state of feeling, and it can describe a temperature. It has been chill
It's been very chill.
Very chilly.
Very chilly.
And why don't you eat some chili? So we can do this word game all day.
I know. That's true.
Anything else you want people to know, Hunter?
We will finally warm up a little next week.
Okay.
Upper 40s to low 50s.
Nice.
I got to tell you, when was it? Sometime, maybe Monday or Tuesday. I forget what temperature it was, but maybe like upper 30s or low 40s. And I was like, oof, it's so warm out. It felt great. It's crazy how 40 degrees now. I'm like, wow, shorts and a tee. So when it's 51 next week, I'm going to be laying outside in the sun, getting a tan.
Love it. Love that for you. But here's the thing, though. Like, we've been so cold. I know we were talking about how many days we've been below average with Craig and also even below freezing at one point, and we had those multiple hours, 138, I think. I think everyone's a little bit thinking already towards spring and summertime as we have that lovely image of the beach. I'd love to go to it. Right now I know that it looks better than it feels, though, and that's the problem.
I've been thinking about spring and summer since it ended.
Well, just keep thinking about it. If you envision it, it will come. If you build it, she will come, right?
Exactly.
All right, meteorologist Hunter Forrest, we appreciate you for coming in and checking with us and lending us your lovely, not only meteorology skills, but your voice as well, the voice of angels. Okay, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back for more Live Impact News. Okay, thank you for sticking with us here. Now we're going to talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C. today as DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, and funding for the agency top of mind for our lawmakers for our country right now. As we've reported and told you, they were able to reach a spending bill package deal yesterday in order to end that partial government shutdown. But what was not included was whether or not to increase funding for the Department of Homeland Security. They have now just 9 or 10 days to reach a decision and an agreement or DHS funding could lapse. It is a big conversation and talker today as we are moments away from seeing House Democrats and Senate Democrats to hold a press conference likely to talk about this topic. But earlier today, we heard from Border Czar Tom Homan. Remember, he was sent to Minneapolis to kind of work with state and local leaders there on figuring out a way to kind of temper the tensions that have happened since the largest immigration enforcement crackdown in DHS history began just a few weeks ago, leading to 2 ICE-involved shooting deaths, another shooting as well, and they have been trying to figure out what is the best way to move forward. He had a major announcement today of what that means in terms of them being able to work together and continue the mission that they sought out to do there in the Trump administration for immigration enforcement. So we're going to start there with Border Czar Tom Homan.
Good morning. I'm Tom Homan. I'm the Border Czar President Trump. I'm here with Sam Olson, Field Office Director for the St. Paul office, and Ron Patello, Senior Advisor to the Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol. Us three guys got just shy of 100 years in law enforcement, immigration enforcement. I've worked with Ron 30 years ago in Dallas, Texas. He's been with the Border Patrol's entire career. During my press conference last week, I reported I had productive discussions with various state and local officials, including Governor, Attorney General, Mayor Frey, and law enforcement officials about increasing coordination in a lawful way between the county jails and ICE to avoid public safety threats being released back in the community. While we had our differences, one thing was clear: we all committed to public safety for all who live in the Twin Cities. We have made significant progress under the direction of President Trump, working with state and local officials here in Minnesota, and I expect that to increase in the coming weeks. We continue to have discussions. I'll have discussions this afternoon. We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation. And I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. This frees up more officers to arrest or remove criminal aliens. More officers taking custody of criminal aliens directly from the jails means less officers on the street doing criminal operations. This is smart law enforcement, not less law enforcement. It's safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien. This coordination also makes it far more safe for the Twin Cities. Arresting a public safety threat in the safety and security of a jail is the safest thing we could do. Further, less public safety risks are being released back into the communities, reduces recidivism, so local law enforcement can direct their limited resources to other public safety matters in their community. This is another priority of President Trump. The state prisons already cooperate with ICE on this coordinated transfer of custody, and we thank them for that partnership, and we plan to do more with them. I also want to reiterate and emphasize we are not requiring jails to hold people past their normal release time for immigration purposes. We're not asking anyone to be an immigration officer. We are not asking any state or local official to do immigration enforcement activity. They are not. By merely notifying us before they release them, they don't hold them 1 minute past they normally would. Given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I have announced effective immediately we will draw down 700 people effective today. 700 law enforcement personnel. We have also fully integrated CBP personnel into the ICRO team structure under one unified chain of command. Not 2 chains of command, there'd be 1 chain of command here. Any large enforcement operation I've ever been involved with, there's 1 chain of command, and that's where we're moving forward. During my press conference last week, I announced that moving forward, ICE will be conducting targeted immigration enforcement operations, like ICE has traditionally done for decades, based on reasonable suspicion to question and detain. ICE will conduct these operations and transnational criminal organization investigations with a focus on national security and public safety. I want to be clear. Just because you prioritize public safety threats don't mean we forget about everybody else. We will continue to enforce the immigration laws in this country. To help execute this, we have developed and implemented a multi-agency surge task force with an operational framework that clarifies lines of effort, integrated enforcement, investigative and special response efforts. A unified joint operations center has been established to manage all operations and ensure efforts align with priorities of the mission. This reorganization also enables ICE to leverage joint intelligence capabilities to effectively target threats, as well as to reduce the overall personnel footprint and enhance public safety and confidence in the agency's capabilities and presence here. I have also ensured that officials from legal and internal affairs offices remain on the ground as long as this operation continues. During our efforts to identify and implement improvements of how operations are planned, conducted, and managed, we identified a gap in regard to the use of body-worn cameras. This was actually raised by the workforce when I started walking around talking to people here. Some officers and agents had them, some didn't. That inconsistency was unacceptable, so we moved immediately to prioritize full body cam deployment in the city. I discussed this with Secretary Noem a couple of days ago, and she made the decision to deploy them. The plan is to deploy them nationwide, but it's a priority for the city right now. There's actually $20 million in the spending bill to further fund the deployment of body cameras. The president is supportive of this decision because we have nothing to hide. We want to be fully transparent in what we do. The American people seek and deserve professional and trustworthy law enforcement, and I and the president expect that any misconduct will not be tolerated and will be swiftly addressed. The integration, structuring, and resources we have implemented will help ensure accountability and that targeted enforcement operations have a focus on national security threats and public safety threats, and they are conducted effectively, safely, and appropriately. Again, this is smarter enforcement, not less enforcement. For those who are not a national security threat or public safety risk, you are not exempt from immigration enforcement actions. If you're in the country illegally, you are not off the table. And let me be clear, President Trump fully intends to achieve mass deportations during this administration, and immigration enforcement actions will continue every day throughout this country. President Trump made a promise, and we have not directed otherwise. I heard rumors we have, untrue. Given that many public safety threats on our communities, many of which poured across the border during the Biden administration, it makes sense to prioritize public safety risk right now. Again, prioritization doesn't mean you forget about everybody else. But we have a criminal here, a non-criminal here. The criminal has to be arrested first because they're the biggest threat to the community. My goal with the support of President Trump is to achieve a complete drawdown and end this surge as soon as we can. But that is largely contingent upon the end of the illegal and threatening activities against ICE and its federal partners that we're seeing in the community. We will not draw down on personnel providing security for our officers. I will not let our officers be put at risk. So we will not draw down on personnel providing security and responding to hostile incidents until we see a change in what's happening with the lawlessness of the impeding and interfering and assaulting of ICE and Border Patrol officers. It is against the law to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with federal law enforcement, including ICE officers and Border Patrol agents. doxing law enforcement to threaten them and their families because they're executing their sworn duties to enforce immigration law that Congress passed is unacceptable. And it's shameful and incomprehensible to me that this unlawful and threatening behavior is being tolerated by anyone. As far as what I saw yesterday with the roadblocks being set up, you're not going to stop ICE. You're not going to stop Border Patrol. The only thing you're doing is irritating your community and want to go get groceries or pick their children up or whatever. I talked to the chief of police, and he committed to taking swift action on those illegal roadblocks. They're illegal. We shouldn't tolerate them. Again, a complete drawdown is going to depend on cooperation, continued cooperation of local and state law enforcement, and the decrease of the violence, the rhetoric, and the attacks against ICE and Border Patrol.
You're listening there to Border Czar Tom Homan with a major announcement there in de-escalation efforts in Minnesota and Minneapolis area. They're going to withdraw 700 federal immigration agents from the area. Remember, they had a few thousand who were there in this largest immigration operation in DHS history, according to the agency. So this will now leave around 2,000 agents still there in the area. And so the other thing that I listened to that was big in that is that they're also going to be using body cameras and working to get that onto their officers. But you heard them say they're not ending their operation there for undocumented immigrants and those who are within the country, he says, illegally. They're going to continue their mission, but this is a major step in the de-escalation efforts that we have seen kind of take over there within the state of Minnesota between the state city officials and the federal Trump administration and the ICE officers and people on the streets there within the communities. Major announcement there. We're going to take a quick break, but on the other side of this, we're going to be hearing from Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who also had some words to share on the Senate floor about the country's immigration enforcement efforts. Give us a few minutes and we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us here for Live Impact News. I want to bring your attention to something that we're monitoring and waiting for. House and Senate Democrats are supposed to hold a press conference. This has the conversation over whether or not to fund Department of Homeland Security is intensifying here today in Washington, D.C., as they have a deadline of 9 or so days to reach an agreement before the funding runs out for the agency, which has been the talk of everybody, with immigration enforcement being a major sticking point in effort by the Trump administration. Speaking of immigration enforcement, our senator here in Virginia, Tim Kaine, spoke about it and his concerns as to what he's been seeing as of late from the Senate floor. We wanted to share his remarks as we wait for leaders in the House and Senate to come to the stage.
Mr. President, I rise to talk about the issue that will dominate attention in the Senate between now and next Friday, Friday the 13th. A discussion about reforms to the Department of Homeland Security and the activities it's engaged in all around the country. It is common during the 13 years that I've been in the Senate for folks to talk about immigrants as a problem. It's very uncommon for people to take this floor and talk about immigrants as a strength. And based on my experience in 31 years now, coming on 32 in elected office in Virginia, I believe immigrants are a strength and not a problem. That doesn't mean there aren't issues that we need to resolve, but I think it's high time that people in this chamber talk about immigrants to this country and recognize the strengths that they bring. President Trump and his administration have launched upon an unprecedented campaign against immigrants. Immigrant crackdowns in Virginia and elsewhere. And the claim of the administration and many who support it is that this is because of a desire to protect Americans and rid American streets of criminals. I maintain that President Trump has instead demeaned and dehumanized immigrants and their countries of origin since day one of his political career for matters completely unrelated to public safety. And since he has been empowered to be president, both in his first term and now this term, he's thrown everything he can at keeping people out and even rounding people up who he views as the wrong kind of people, the other. His efforts to round up thousands and thousands of people he views as the other on spurious charges and without due promise are sweeping up all kinds of people, including children, and they are hurting our country, hurting our economy, and hurting my Commonwealth. I'd like to start with what the president has said. These policies are motivated by a president who has said a number of things about the immigrant community, and I think these express the basic motivations for his actions. There's a beautiful phrase in the New Testament that says, "From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks." On this topic, the president has a very full heart, and he has spoken very plainly about his motivation. In the speech marking the beginning of his campaign in 2016, day one, President Trump embarked on a tirade against Mexicans and Mexican Americans, saying, quote, "When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have a lot of problems. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people." So most of them are bad, drug addicts, criminals, rapists, but some are good people. That's the very essence of bigotry and discrimination, and we know that to be a lie. One of President Trump's first actions when he became president in 2017 was to impose a ban on people entering the country if they were coming from countries that were predominantly Muslim in nature. It wasn't based on the vetting of an individual to determine if they posed a problem. If you're a Muslim, if you come from a country that was predominantly Muslim, you are banned. The very essence of bigotry and discrimination. That policy was struck down by the Supreme Court. The administration recalibrated it to do it in a different way, but the president revealed what is his motivation. A few months into his first term, he said in an Oval Office meeting of top officials that he thought that Haitians, quote, "all have AIDS," a despicable and discriminatory lie. And he also said in that same meeting we should keep Nigerian immigrants out of the United States because if they come to America, they would, quote, never go back to their huts. Derogatory, discriminatory. I don't like to curse. I'm not perfect at this, but I don't like to curse, and when I try, I can't do it convincingly. And I don't like to quote people who are cursing, but I'm going to do that because I don't think this should be sanitized. Later, in his first term at a meeting with top cabinet officials and the White House staff and senators, President Trump said, "Why do we want all these people from shithole countries coming here?" Now, at the time when that was revealed, the president denied it, said he had not used that phrase. But we know that that was a lie because recently at rallies, he's been acknowledging that he used that phrase, and he still uses that phrase. Just a few months ago, he loudly and proudly repeated the same line. He said, "Remember I said to senators, the Democrats came in, they wanted to be bipartisan, so they came in, we had a meeting, and I say, why is it we only take people from shithole countries, right?" This is the president recently acknowledging that language, discriminatory and bigoted language. Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few from Denmark. Do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people. Do you mind? But we always take people from Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime, bigoted, and discriminatory. Linger on that for a second. Some nice people from Scandinavia, but instead of filthy or dirty places like Somalia. Recently, the president, after canceling many refugee programs from other nations, including Cuba, opened up a path for refugees to come from South Africa if they're Afrikaners. South Africa has all kinds of ethnic groups. Afrikaners are just one. The path that the president opened for refugees coming to the United States from South Africa was limited to Afrikaners, even though Afrikaners are represented in the current national unity government of South Africa. But he claimed that Afrikaners are being persecuted. Notice a few months later, he also claimed that Nigerians were being persecuted if they were Christians, and he used military action against Nigeria, but he wouldn't open up a path for Nigerians to come to the United States. Well, he asserts that Afrikaners are being persecuted against, and so we'll have a refugee program for them. But Nigerians who are being persecuted, even for their Christian faith, there's no refugee path for them. What is the difference between an Afrikaner and a Nigerian subject to persecution? I think we all know the answer to the question. So if you support President Trump's immigration policies, I think you have to look in the mirror and grapple with the fact that his motivation is about fundamentally not liking people of different skin colors from continents or countries that he views as disfavorable, or who come from religious backgrounds that he views as disfavorable. Anyone supporting President Trump's policies ought to look in the mirror and ask if that is a motivation that you share, or is that a motivation you reject?
So Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia obviously had some very strong opinions about the president's immigration enforcement tactics and philosophy, in which we've seen a lot of critics from the Democratic side in particular, and right now in certain cities like in Minnesota and in Los Angeles, Chicago, that have taken issue with the way things have gone. So he wanted to speak to that. I will again say that we've been waiting here at this moment to hear from House and Senate Democrats who are supposed to be holding a press conference we're assuming, what is going on right now when it comes to whether or not funding will be agreed upon for DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Also, meanwhile, I am watching at the moment that the stage has been set for a press conference in Arizona, that we will at that point hear from Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on a new border announcement that she's set to make. We don't know what that announcement is just yet. That is not set to start for some time, I believe, after our stream ends. But again, that conversation very much so at the center of talks today across Washington, D.C. and within the Trump administration. We're going to take another quick break here, but we will be right back. Welcome back. Tomorrow will mark 1 year since Department of Veteran Affairs Secretary Doug Collins has been in his role, and earlier today, I got the chance to speak with him about how he believes things have gone in his first year and what he is planning and looking forward to as he continues in the position. Again, thank you so much for joining us here for 13 News Now to speak about what you have been able to do in your role with the VA here within 1 year. And I'll start off with a question pretty easy for you. What would you say have been your biggest accomplishments since you've taken office into this role?
I think the biggest accomplishments we've seen is turning the VA back to its centralized focus of putting veterans first. And I think that is the key to everything else we've done, whether it's being able to get our backlog down, whether it's opening new clinics like we have in the Norfolk area, opening up, other areas where we're doing more services for veterans in the community. All of that all centered around the fact that we recognize now that the only reason we exist as an organization is the veteran themselves. If they don't come into the hospitals or clinics, if they don't come, talk to us or on the phone or come to our cemeteries or ask for their benefits, then we have no job. And I think that was the big focus. And now we're all moving in the same location, not with separate agendas, but with one agenda, and that's taking care of veterans.
Now that you've been on the job for this extended period of time, what would you say have been the challenges that you've faced and that the VA has faced in being able to, I see the smile, the chuckle there, but what have been the challenges you faced along this process?
I think it's for too long, there's been basically a lot of people who got a lot of pleasure, it seemed, from criticizing the VA. They always wanted to talk about the things that were done wrong. And as I said, even a year ago, I said the days of the VA being a whipping post for all the problems and everybody wanted to show how patriotic they are over. We're either going to fix the problems, acknowledge the problems, or we're going to move on. And so when you have an organization as large as we are, 450,000 roughly people, in a way that is so bureaucratic and it was so self-entwined with its own policies and regulations that many times it inhibited its own ability to do its job. Really, that was some of the biggest focus we had, was turning the stories around to say, let's get back to doing what we're supposed to be doing. Let's quit. I couldn't believe how many times I would ask, why do we do something? And they would say, well, it was that old saying, we've always done it that way before. And I said, well, does it actually work? And I had employees, because I visited 30 states, 70 plus facilities. And when I would ask them, I said, well, does it work? And they would look at me and they say, no, it actually hurts us. I said, then why are we still doing it? Those are the kind of things were the hardest to find, but they were also some of the easier to fix because I said if it's policy and procedure, we can change that. And it's amazing how the faces of workers lifted when they saw that they could actually do their job without the restrictions they knew were not helpful.
You know, you speak of criticisms there. One of those came recently from Senate Democrats who criticized the VA, saying that the cuts that took place over the last year severely reduced the capacity of the agency in order to provide health care. What is your response to that? They released that report. What do you say to anyone, even further, that may have that concern?
Well, the Senate Democrat report from Senator Blumenthal was basically made up, with numbers. We're not sure where he gets the numbers from because they don't match what we have internally. So, again, it was more of a partisan-driven idea. Again, I think it goes back to a philosophy. Are we actually, from Senator Blumenthal and others, they view is the growth in VA of employees or money as being the showing a success. I don't view it that way because under the Democrats who up until last year controlled the VA committee, they did nothing except add more employees and add more money to the budget. But yet backlogs of disability claims went up to over 260,000. We had over 1 million waiting on an pending route. We had wait times going up in our hospitals. All the while they increased FTE count, and yet patient encounters are going down. So we're actually looking at it differently. We're not looking at it from a size perspective. We're looking at it from a quality perspective. The only metric I care about is our veterans getting taken care of. And on that metric, we're doing really well. So if you want to point to something that's not really working because you're just still trying to out there to live in the past, we don't live in the past. We live in the future. And I would encourage them to be a part of getting, not scaring veterans, but saying, hey, the VA is changing to help them.
All right, Secretary Collins, I think I have time for maybe one more question, and let's look forward. What are the next steps? What are you trying to accomplish now in your second year?
Next steps is reorganization of our healthcare system. We're the largest healthcare system in the country, 170 hospitals, 1,200 clinics plus, and yet it was always top driven instead of hospital and clinic driven. We're now putting that in proper order where the hospitals and clinics are tip of the spear, and everything else is going to be arranged from policy to to business concerns to leadership, so that all hospitals operate in a similar fashion. They all have standards of procedure that are unique to the VA, not unique to an individual hospital. That's going to help us take us in our size and be able to actually amplify that for veterans, not only with the direct care, but also care in the community as well.
All right, sir. We appreciate you for taking the time. Best to you today, and you guys take care. All right, you were able to hear from the Secretary yourself. This, as right now, we're seeing both the House and Senate minority leaders, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, step to the podium there. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll tune in for what they have to say as we end this stream. We're back here for Live Impact News, and we're going to go directly to a live press conference by the House and Senate Democrat leadership. This, again, as the funding deadline for the Department of Homeland Security about a week and a half away. We've been waiting for them to get to the stage. We're going to end our stream here listening to them up until around 11:58. So let's go ahead and take it.
And deport American citizens, which we know is taking place right now. These are just some of the common sense proposals that the American people clearly would like to see in terms of the dramatic changes that are needed at the Department of Homeland Security before there's a full year appropriations bill. It's now my honor to yield to a former distinguished member of the House of Representatives. All good things flow from the House, in our humble opinion. Before that. As I was as well.
I know.
And we're both from Brooklyn. But he's doing a tremendous job as the leader of the Senate Democrats, the Honorable Chuck Schumer.
Well, thank you, Hakeem, and let me thank you and my Senate colleagues, our House colleagues, and we had a really good and productive meeting, and we're on the same page. First, what is happening in our cities just turns your stomach inside out. It's not just us. When Americans see the pictures of these goons beating people, pushing people, and even shooting and killing people, they say, this is not America. And what the hell is going on in our cities? It is reminiscent of dictatorship. And when some of these ICE thugs just keep beating and beating and beating a woman who's pushed to the floor, that's un-American. And the American people are on our side. 90% have seen the videos, according to a most recent survey. And they are appalled. And they are urging the Senate and the House, the Congress, and the White House to stop this. And so, Democrats, we have common sense, tough objectives to rein in ICE. And the Republicans need to get serious. 3 broad categories we all agree on. 1, none of these roving patrols. You can't just stop anybody on the street. You can't just pick them up and not even tell them why they're picked up, put them in some dark place, no access to a lawyer or a phone or anything else. You can't, there are certain places they shouldn't be able to go in, churches, synagogues, schools, election places. There should be no racial profiling as these bands of goons roam the streets. That's 1. 2, we need real accountability. There's got to be oversight. There's got to be outside independent oversight by state and local governments, by individuals, and there's got to be a right to sue. There's got to be a right to go to court and stop this. And finally, no secret police. I find it amazing that the Speaker of the House, which are saying they should be allowed to have masks. This group, which needs to be identified more than any other group, should have a standard much more lenient and hidden than other police forces. I would bet when Speaker Johnson goes down to Louisiana, the sheriffs and the police deputies are well identified, as they are in almost every city. So we need cameras, and the cameras have got to be used in the right way. We can't just give them cameras, and you have to be specific as to how they ought to be used. They need identification and no masks except in extraordinary and unusual circumstances. We're united with the American people. We're united as House and Senate Democrats. We're going to have tough, strong legislation. We hope to have it within the next 24 hours. that we will submit together. And then we want our Republican colleagues to finally get serious about this, because this is turning America inside out in a way we haven't seen in a very long time. Catherine.
Thank you,
Whip
Lee.
Clark, it says.
That's right. Thank you so much. I'm so proud to stand here with my colleagues, united as Democrats, united with the American people. That this violence we are seeing from ICE and CPB agents has to stop. Republicans promised two fundamental things. They promised an economy that would work for working people. We've seen how that's turned out. And they promised they would deport and use ICE to go after the worst of the worst. And what are we seeing? Renee Good and Alex Preddy killed in cold blood, executed. Kristi Noem, within hours of their deaths, declared them domestic terrorists. Stephen Miller called Preddy an assassin. But the American people have seen their deaths. They've seen the videos, and they know that this is a cover-up.
You're hearing there from Democrats in both the House and the Senate. Again, this as they now have 9 days in Congress to reach a decision on a spending bill for DHS before funding dries out. Meanwhile, we are awaiting, apparently it's supposed to start at noon in Arizona, to hear from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. She's going to be speaking about some form of update regarding the border. Again, DHS, that is the word of the day, and maybe until they're able to reach a deal on that, we're going to continue to talk about it. But for right now, we are out of time for this particular stream here on Live Impact News. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you watched us live on YouTube, you can always download our streaming app, 13 News Now Plus. You'll not only be able to watch this broadcast live, but there's so much other content, news, weather, and etc. there specifically on the stream. We hope that you'll download it and take the time to do so. It is free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Sarah and I will be back